Welcome back.
Let me get stream up. So this is game 2 of Battle Arena. This is hosted by the T-Force Network. If you want to sign up for future games, we'll clear the sheet this afternoon. You can do that. You head over to trinityforcenetwork.com, which I just put in stream chat. It will look like this. You're going to hit the Battle Arena tab, and it'll pull up, it'll basically pull up what you're seeing right now. You can either click this to see what you're seeing on stream, so live on Twitch. You can hit this to view YouTube, which they're uploaded to afterwards. You can usually see them a couple hours after Battle Arena and Bronze Bootcamp finish, so you can watch the games you just played on. And you can also sign up here. So you basically, if I wanted to play in Game 1 of Bronze Bootcamp, which already happened, but let's say if I did, I'd type in a summoner name. I would type in my summoner name if I could play, and I would type in what role I prefer and what game I want to play in, and it would sign me up. So check that out. Also remember, this is sponsored by the Trinity Force Network. Host 5 podcasts, the Trinity Force Podcast, meta discussion, listener questions, new champion rundowns, and more. Live on Twitch TV Monday and Wednesdays, and the podcasts go up Wednesday and Friday mornings. You can also check out the LCS rundown. It's basically like a sports center for LCS. I believe it's usually Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, although I think it's somewhat inconsistent. The Oslo podcast, Australian League of Legends. 4 Words podcast for newer players. If you are watching this on YouTube or watching a stream and somebody who's new to Bronze Bootcamp or new to the network, very useful. A lot of great information for newer players or players who may not have played the game as long as some other players. Also, just a good podcast in general. Of the last 4 podcasts, 3 of them have had either a master's level player or higher. I was on 2 of them, and they had, 4 of the last 5. So I was on 2 of them. I'm Masters. They hit NK Inc., who's a challenger level jungler, and they had 2 Masters level 3v3 players, and a 3v3 specific podcast that would be worth checking out. And if the 5v5 Battle Arena thing is enjoyable to you, but you kind of want that one-on-one coaching, you can check out Patreon at tforcenetwork.com. You just hit the red Patreon tab. We have the basically coaching options at $25 and $50 a month. If you want a replay review done, you can have anyone in the network do it. You can have Adam, Ponophobia Cogswell do it, or anybody else. This is the best thing in the network, in my opinion. The Champion Select podcast, Serial Box and Days Untold do that. It's twice a month for Patreons. It's like a 1 hour long podcast where they usually get a Masters or Challenger level player, usually Challenger, and they have them break down a video. Break down a champion. So they take like Corki, Morgana, Nunu. Those are some of the ones they've done. And they just talk about it with that Challenger level player for an hour. So if you ever want to know like everything about a champion, or twice a month, it's worth checking out. And the Trinity Force proper did I'm sorry for the incredibly long plug, but they did I guess, Champion Select teaser episode this Monday. So if you kind of want a taste of that, check out the Trinity Force podcast on iTunes or Stitcher. Alright. So, team comps are set, bans, picks. The first pick Udyr is a little awkward to me. I think if you pick into a good jungle matchup against Udyr and you pick some champions that counter him really hard, like Janna and stuff, he is difficult to play. But we'll see. So, Sona good. Yeah, Sona does pretty well against the Janna. Sona's probably like the hardest counter to Janna there is. Sona or Soraka. I would say Sona's like the archetype to countering Janna though. She has a lot of damage and she has sustain.
Yeah.
That's what I pick personally. Or Blitz if I'm playing a lower elo Janna. But probably Sona in a serious game. Also, it's the uncomfortable. I think there are other good champions to play. So, Kargan, what if lanes are not overextended? I don't know what he's talking about. Alright, so when we know like the specifics to the question, like what if lanes are overextended or not overextended. We can't answer the question. But
I know the context of said question.
oh, what's the question?
He's wondering, like, as Rengar, what if lanes aren't overextended? Like, what if he can't find like a roam gank? What should he do?
I think you could have ganked mid most of the time in that game. If you can't gank mid, you can just recall and walk bottom. So just recall and walk bottom. Remember, I actually play a lot of Rengar. You can go to my OPGG if you want proof, but I mean, I'm Masters and I have like a 60% win rate on Rengar.
I don't even believe you on that. Go on.
Kappa. But remember that you can always get warded out in Rengar, but where they can't ward is between first and second tower. So a lot of times you recall from base and you just like you walk to the lane you want to gank and you kill it. And if you lane gank, they can't ward you out as Rengar. So that's a really important thing. That's like one of the most important pieces of advice I can give to a new Rengar player. If it's hard to gank lanes, or if they're getting warded out when they roamed, which will start to happen in higher elos, is remember that like between first and second tower can never be warded.
I know this has really nothing to do with context of anything, and I don't expect to see this, but can you, as Tom Kench, just grab Rengar while he's ulting and just show up the invisible Rengar?
I have no idea. That goes for Eve too. If you play any stealth champions, they can't ward between towers. So I'll go to matchups really quick. Ashe Sona against Jinx Tom. Jinx Tom just needs to farm and try not to die.
Yup.
Yo.
You've picked Tom Kench, you've picked a hard life for yourself. I'm sorry.
As a jungler, you can camp that lane, and if Tom gets a lead, he's actually pretty hard to deal with, because if he's tanky enough that he can eat her ass and get those autos off, he becomes harder to deal with. I've seen games in ranked, and the games that Tom does well are the games Tom gets kills early, and it's usually a misplay by the other team, or the Tom Kench just like getting ganks. Because I don't think Tom wins many 2v2s by himself. But they also have Kog'Maw mid. So basically, like, as far as team comps go, I like this style of comp a lot, where you have like two lanes that really want to scale, and then an aggressive jungler, and then like one aggressive lane. So basically you have Udyr to carry weak lanes through a lane phase, as long as he's ganking and not taxing those weak lanes that need to scale. And you have Rengar, who also snowballs pretty hard. So I like this comp. But like once Cog hits 11, you guys kind of turn on. That being said, Cog's 11 power spike isn't that great if he doesn't get the Ludens at 11. So the Cog actually needs to CS to kind of make this work. Whereas red team, you have a really aggressive comp with a ton of crowd control. Basically, you guys just, your bot lane wants to win, your top lane wants to win, your mid lane wants to win, and you have Fizz jungle. So, like, do your best to win lanes, not get ganked by Udyr, and just snowball with your crowd control. But kind of general win conditions for each comp. Cover top really quickly. Cho'Gath against Rengar. Cho, don't be afraid to buy 1 or 2 Doran's rings, and then I would go 1 or 2 Doran's rings into Frozen Heart. I think Frozen Heart Cho'Gath shits on Rengar. So that's kind of like old school Season 2 Cho'Gath. You don't see as much Frozen Heart anymore. But he likes the mana, he likes the cooldown reduction, he likes the armor. And it's such a cost efficient item. I mean, it's getting nerfed soon for a reason, just because it's like way too cost efficient.
I love that item.
Yeah, it's really good. If you like it so much, why do you buy Frozen Fist on Nami?
Hey, that's situational.
Kappa. Alright.
I got carry though.
The Azir versus Kog'Maw. Azir wants to bully early, they both scale, but they have different breakpoints. Azir's breakpoints are more based on items, where Kog'Maw's breakpoints are more based on levels, as long as he's not too far behind on items. So Kog really wants that 11 and 16, whereas Azir really wants that 2, 3, and 4 items. Jungle Fizz against Udyr. Udyr just wants to pressure as hard as he can. Udyr actually has a pretty high skill cap as a jungler, because he can pressure. He has good ganks if he can get in to gank the lane. He has really good 2v2s. He wins almost every 2v2. He can invade. He can counter jungle. I mean, Udyr is always about choices. I'd say if you're playing a jungler that can make choices like this, the general rule of thumb I would teach you is if your lanes are pushed in, you gank. If your lanes are pushed out, you pressure the other jungler. Because if you ward. If you're going to the jungle, you always need to ward. I get this question a lot. Like the Rengar just asked it. But he's top lane, so it's a little different. As a jungler, if your lanes are always overextended, you just walk into the other jungle as long as you're stronger than the other jungler too, and you pressure them. And you always need to bring wards, because if you can't pressure them, as long as you drop a ward, it's not totally lost. But keeping track of them is the biggest thing. Because once you have them warded out, not only can you counter jungle them, if they go for a gank to catch up, you can just 2v2 them and demolish them. And a 2v2, I talk about swings a lot. Let's say if you invade the other jungler, it's a kind of a small swing because you get EXP and gold from a camp. If you kill a lane, it's a 2-person swing because one person's going up and one person's going down, so it's a net effect of 2. If you counter gank somebody, it's a net effect of 4. Their jungler wastes time, their lane wastes time, one of them probably dies. You get a kill or an assist, your lane gets a kill or an assist. You both get that EXP, you guys are probably going to get to farm the lane afterwards. Like, counter ganks are kind of like borderline game ending, especially in higher elo. So, TLDR, Udyr has a lot of options. I do think Udyr is a really skillful champ, though. Not in the champion, but in all the choices you can make. So, we are into game. This will be our last game before the tournament. Hopefully it doesn't go 80 minutes.
I don't know why people keep advertising for Championship Riven. Everyone's already got it if they're good.
Yeah. I have it. That's like right when I started playing League and I typed in the code.
Yeah.
End of season 2.
So, Cho'Gath started Sapphire Crystal. I don't...
Oh, God. Is he going tier banner ZZ route?
One can only hope. But, I don't know. The mana crystal I don't necessarily like start on Cho'Gath. You just have extra mana. Which, honestly, if you need more mana, I think you have a bigger problem where you're casting too many abilities and running out of mana. You're going to need some health and you need some durability against Rengar. Like a Doran Shield or a Flask start would have been really good to see.
Alright. So
or a big vehicle. You get a big vehicle.
Quite a few reasons this is bad. So Doran's Ring is more mana than Sapphire Crystal at like 30 CS. Because you get 4 per kill and you get 3 per 5 seconds. So that's the first reason this is really bad. The second reason is Doran's Ring has health and ability power. And Doran's Ring gives you, I don't know, like Doran's Ring's already more mana and it has health and AP. Like Sapphire Crystal is just strictly a weaker item in lane. Also, you can go shield against Rengar as well. Shield is really strong against Rengar because it reduces damage from auto attacks, it reduces damage from Qs, and it reduces damage from E. So basically everything in Rengar's kit gets hurt by Doran's Shield except for his W. As Cho'Gath here, I would have done Camp Start, and I would have gone probably Doran's Shield 5-pot. I think Doran's Shield 5-pot's really toxic, and I hope Riot gets rid of it, but play it while you can.
Yeah.
Cho'Gath also didn't start E, and he's kind of getting harassed pretty badly for it. But
so, Jinx, you hit level 2, and the level 2 advantage you guys got from the camp's great, but if you're one person going against 2, you're still at a really big disadvantage. And unfortunately, you just ate a lot of damage while Tom Kench was still regenerating that tanking he was doing. Oh.
So, we'll see Cho. If he dies by 60 health, I'm going to get on his case.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any points in E, too. It's really important to have points in E in this lane.
Yeah.
Quite a few reasons for that. One, Rengar's melee, and it's strong. Oh, we'll talk about this in a second. Alright.
Power D.
2, on Rengar, you lose a lot of effectiveness when you get pushed into tower. And Cho'Gath should win this lane and push Rengar into tower. And once Rengar gets pushed into tower, really easy to harass with those Qs. Otherwise, he has to give up CS, and he can't play bushes. That is one of the counters to Rengar, just getting him in tower and then diving him. He's not very good against tower dive either.
Uh-oh. Ooh.
Alright, so Ashe and Sona are doing a pretty good job of zoning.
Yeah.
You really want to make sure you freeze if this happens, because Jinx will come back with either an extra item or potions. And then the, wow. Our deer died, rip.
Yo.
So Jinx will come back with an extra item or potions. And she will be stronger than you at this point, but you can't abuse EXP advantage. But it's kind of hard to abuse EXP advantage if you don't freeze. Alright, so Rengar killed Cho'Gath. So it looks like Rengar barely lived and Cho just died. Cho, if you would have gotten an extra 15 or about extra 10 damage from every spell on Rengar with the Doran's Ring, and you would have an extra 60 health, you probably would have lived there. So, like,
yep.
please buy Doran's Ring.
Yeah.
Or Doran's Shield, just not Sapphire Crystal.
Yeah, because now you're coming back into lane just a Ruby Crystal now.
He's going Roa as well. He really wants Frozen Heart against Rengar. Health doesn't do a lot against Rengar once he starts stacking Armor Pen because he gets that true damage. You really want armor. And Cho'Gath already gets a lot of free health once you start getting your ultimate. And if you have free health either through abilities or shields, stacking your resistances starts to become really pretty strong. Or at least getting a early resist item. Diana's kind of the example I always use for that. But like a Diana with Hourglass is so tanky with shields.
Yeah.
A Cho'Gath Frozen Heart so tanky with ult health.
Yeah.
So Rengar. So Rengar's shopping. And he got Brutalizer. How much gold did he have? So you had enough for 2 pots. You really should buy those 2 potions in Rengar. This is something I tell people a lot. Even if you don't think you're going to need potions, it's better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. And let's say you buy 3 pots and you only need 2. It's not like you wasted money. You can just use that pot like the next time you recall instead of buying it.
Yeah.
Same thing for Jinx too. When she got forced out, she only came back with 2 pots. She could have bought 3 or 4 now, and she's probably regretting that. She probably thought like, oh, I need to save for X or Y item, but
yeah, I mean, a few potions aren't going to set you behind on that build that much. In all honesty, like you gotta consider the options of those extra health potions keep you in lane longer, which lets you get more experience and more gold anyway. So it's more of like an insurance policy when you're dealing with situations where, you know, fights are getting really close.
Alright, so 2 really important notes from Sona and Ashe right here. Anytime at 3 and 4, or generally, like, heal is 3 minutes and 30? No, barrier is 3, heal is 4 minutes. So heal is 4, most summoners bot are 3:30 besides Flash, which is 5. If you see them use summoners at 4 or 5, that's kind of a green light. Especially if you're going to hit 6 first, that you just want to hit 6 and like dumpster them.
Yeah.
Ashe just wants to hit these 3 CS, backing at BF, and then if she leaves lane and doesn't touch any of these creeps, they'll start pushing for red, and she can just like ult and kill.
And again, this situation I was talking to you about earlier, Rengar, if you get in a situation where you have an advantage here and you have to go back to base, looking bot might be a really good option.
And as Ashe shown, you have no reason to stay for this wave. You're giving up a lot of your lane advantage, and you're going to recall and give Jinx free farm. You could have just pushed it in, backed, and got almost back at the same time as Jinx, so you could have continued bowling her, and just gotten that BF. Whereas right now, what extra are you buying? And the difference between 15 and 50 and like 2k isn't that big on an AD carry.
Yeah.
But Rengar's got 2 kills.
Yep. Push the tower, go back to base, get some items, and go visit bot lane, because bot lane hasn't backed in a while. And like in a roam like this at this point in time gives you a lot of advantages and puts Jinx back in this game, who is effectively being shut down. And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier when I was talking to you in Champ Select, is you gotta enforce that gold advantage you pick up. Hitting tower is great and all, but you don't have to take that right away. Because all that tower is going to do is give Shogath a false sense of security while you continue to play Rengar bush camps.
So, dear, when you go Phoenix, you don't put a point in Tiger early unless you're going for cheese. Some people do it just to get the extra damage from Tiger, but I don't think it's that great for kind of what you're doing right here. There's like Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail goes Tiger and Phoenix, but we'll see. So Kog'Maw DC'd, it looks like he's lagging pretty badly. This is kind of what I'm talking about. Kog'Maw does power spike with levels, but it is important to hit that CS. If you start to approach like 22 CS at 9 minutes, it's going to take you so long to be relevant that it's really difficult. Yeah. I'll keep preaching. You guys may get sick of me, but I'm doing it because I love all of you guys. If you really want to like progress through the lanes as quickly as you can and you play top 80 carrier mid, removing errors in CS is probably the easiest and fastest thing you can do.
Right.
It's like, let's say you have pickaxe and they have BF sword. Even if you're a better player, you have to outplay them so hard in a laning phase. It's, I don't know.
It's free gold. It's free gold advantage if you just simply farm better than your opponent.
It's like if you play basketball. If you're playing 21 with your friends and you always let them start at 5. That's what you're doing if you can't last hit.
Yeah.
And your friends can't last hit too. And some people say, oh, nobody else in my games can last hit. Well, it's like if you're both playing 21 and you're both letting each other start at 5. I mean, that's still not good.
Right. Yeah, it's just... That's not really an excuse to have. If you're complaining about everybody in your elo having the same farm as you, then you are exactly where you need to be.
So Rengar's kind of struggling to kill. She's gonna try and kill Cho. I don't think he can. Cho feast
on cooldown.
Oh, rip. Huh. Interesting. So Cho really suffering from not having any combat stats. Also, only 1 point in E and no points in W. Usually in a melee matchup on Cho, you want to go into E.
Yeah.
What did he say? Do you like the combo? I hope you like the combo. Yeah. Yeah. No, that is generally the combo you want to be going into is Rengar. You usually want to E in midair, pop Ghost Blade as you land, and pop Tiamat as you land, and then you do a lot of damage. If you watch a lot of high elo Rengar players play, they kill a person as soon as they touch them, and that's because the E lands as soon as the first auto attack lands, and E and auto is like all of your bursts as soon as the target can seize you. Whereas if you Q, it's a little more slow, and they can't flash it. There are a lot of good things about the E combo. It is cool one-shotting someone like instantly though.
Yeah.
It's clipping. It's really hard sometimes to get 2 spells in this game to hit at once. But if you know how to clip spells, you can like actually start to one-shot people. Like on Talon. Talon's a good example. Rengar's a good example with E-combo. Brand. Some of his spells are slower than others. Like if you go for W and then Q and ult, you can get all 3 to hit at the same time. And stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Knowing how to do that's good too. Your opponent a lot of times just won't understand what they're going to get hit by or how much damage they're taking until they start to take it. And if all your spells hit instantly, either your opponent's not going to react or they're going to die, or they're going to overreact and like waste summoner spells. So Jinx and Tom are pushing out. That's good. And this is kind of what I was talking about. Ashe doesn't really have that big a CS lead because she like didn't back on BF when she should have. So, I don't like the CDR boots this early out of Rengar. I do like the CDR boots, and I do like them for roaming. My argument against them is it's still Cho'Gath, and as you saw, as far ahead as you were, you did struggle to kill him a little bit at the end there. And yeah. I don't know, I would just get another item or 2 first. But this isn't bad.
I'd go back to base at this point right now. You guys got dragon.
Ooh, Azir can kill you, brother. Oh, rip.
Oh. Gotta land that.
That's fine. You just have to practice.
Yeah. That's exactly kind of what you want to do. Is you want to surprise hit a lane, because even if Kog'Maw weren't lagging as bad as he were and was able to at least assist a little bit, that very well may have been a kill.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sort of like momentum you want to add in this game. Oh, hey Fizz.
Alright, so I have a question in chat. Is Mage Eyes ever a viable option on support? You can rack up assists like John and Sona. So, Mage Eyes is pretty good on champions like that. There are a couple of things you need to think about with Mage Eyes. And I would say the biggest one is that when you get Mage Eyes, you usually need to get it early. The issue is with Mage Eyes, if you start to fall behind, it's bad. If, like, you can die. And... oh, what else was I going to say? It delays your whole build by 1,485 gold or whatever it costs. 1,450. So, if you're delaying items, you really should have, like, important items. That's bad. Like, if you're delaying a Mikhail's and you really need a Mikhail's, or if you delay a Locket and you really need a Locket. If you're winning, and you don't need any of those items, or you've already bought those items, Mage Eyes is okay. It's actually pretty good in those situations. But you need to think about the game. Like, if you're giving up Mage Eyes and your team really needs an Aegis, that's never okay. So just think about it. But it can certainly be viable in a lot of games. The other situation I buy Mages in, I don't know how much I'd recommend this, especially for Bronze Bootcamp, is if you don't need to buy an item and you're losing really badly. Because at some point you'll need to get kills to come back, and if you lose, you just lose with it.
Yeah.
But pro players get flamed for that so hard. I don't know if people ever watch Haiyo solo queue though, because there are some mid lanes who do it. It's actually pretty popular on the Korean server. Wow, the Tom.
Yeah, unfortunately Ashe got picked off because Sona went back to base and Ashe did not. You gotta respect the fact that without your support, you're very vulnerable to getting all in.
Really important to back at the same time.
Yes.
So, Sona has a Sheen. Please don't buy Sheen on Sona.
No, don't do it.
Think there's... I was nicer about it, but I'm not going to be nicer about it anymore. There is never a situation where any of the Sheen items are good on support Sona. Mid lane, top Sona, whatever. But support Sona. Like, Lichbane's never good. The Iceborne Gauntlet's never good. You really need AP to make Lichbane work. And, like, high base AD. Because it works with both of those things. And some of the champions like Twisted Fate, it's actually better on. Because he was originally made to be an AD carry and his base AD is pretty high. And it does scale off base AD now. But on someone like Sona who doesn't particularly have like high base AD and you can't build 4 AP items on her, like it doesn't scale. A lot of people build Lichbane and they feel like they're doing a lot of damage. And it just comes down to, at the end of the day, the base damage on Q power chord's really high at like level 14, 15, 16.
Yeah.
Most of that damage isn't your Lichbane.
Yeah, no. Focus on stats that are really going to help out support Sona like CDR. Some resistances. A little bit AP here and there in itemization, but Sheen's just meh.
Why would you back at the same time as a support? Wouldn't backing it at the same time leave tower vulnerable? It depends. Like, if tower can... if tower is gonna die and you can't get dove, it's okay. But a lot of times if tower is gonna die, that's usually you losing lane or something, and it's better to just like push out together and recall. That saves tower, and it just leaves tower in a better spot. And if you can't push out tower together and recall, you're probably losing lane. And it's probably better to just let tower fall than dive. Because once you stay by yourself, you can get dove. You can I don't know. Usually it's getting dove, or you lose a lot of CS because you're getting harassed under tower. And it often goes into a situation where one person stays by themselves, and then the other person gets back, and the person who stayed by themselves is now really low. And I don't know. You can never do anything if you're never in a 2v2. You just cycle through like 1v1 for like 2 or 3 minutes there.
Yeah, I think the big answer to the question is make sure that like if you guys are going back to base, and this is for both ADC and support, you are making sure that that wave's shoved. Or you're putting yourself in that advantageous position. If you, like you were saying before, if you guys can't, then protecting the tower is probably the least of your concerns, more than surviving. Because if either one of you goes back, whether it's ADC or support, you are at a lot of risk. Especially if you have a very aware jungler that sees that and decides to create a 3v1 tower dive in your Ashe, for example. It's a lot of risk.
You're just so vulnerable for so long because, like, one person recalls, then the person who stayed gets poked out, and then they have to recall, and it's usually just a mess. Alright, so Rengar. Ooh! The Azir prediction.
Good job.
Wow, rip.
That pink ward really good.
Alright, so this is kind of like, I don't know. Maybe not advice I would normally give in Bronze Bootcamp, but I'm going to give it. So, when you're playing Rengar, if you're playing against Azir, the thing will go up on Azir's head, and if he knows where you're ulting from, he's going to throw ult up like that. Like, that was more of an Azir seeing the thing over his head than like a godlike prediction. Likely. So, how do you play around that as Rengar? Get the thing to show up above Azir's head, and then like walk around a little bit. As long as you're not pinked.
That was less of a prediction more than there's a pink ward in that long bush and they saw him coming.
Oh, there's a pink. Alright, never mind. You got pinked. Rip.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Cho got dragon. Good job, Cho.
Horse, what is that up there? Chat that needs to be banned.
Oh, yeah.
Alright. It's just like, it comes down to staggering recalls as playing not to lose. Because you're just playing not to lose tower. Where you can never win lane if you're 1v2 all the time.
Yeah.
Playing to not lose is not one of my favorite strategies.
You're kind of giving up a win condition by stalling.
The way solo and duo lane EXP works is you don't lose a ton in duo. I mean, you lose quite a bit, but like each level is quite a bit more than the other one, and the way that creeps work, it's not that much. And if you're cycling 1v2s a lot of times, especially early, you will hit level 6 like slower than them, and that's really bad as well. EXP is really important. Especially on a support. If you're playing support and you fall behind on levels, you get stuck in a difficult position where either you can roam and do what you need to do on the map and you're under leveled, so you're kind of in a squishy position, or you have to play bot lane or in a lane to catch up on experience, and the other support plays the map and your team is kind of playing like 4v3, assuming there are 80 carries down there and you're 80 carry and support are. So, falling behind an EXP on a support can be difficult. Damn, that Cho steal. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep.
What can Cho do right now to get back in the game? Hit as much CS as he can and get Frozen Heart. Yep. His team still has a lot of CC, and he's a pretty integral part of that. The big thing Cho'Gath needs to think about is his CC is kind of hard to hit by itself. But his team has a lot of other CC, so he wants to hold his Rupture for like Sona ult, or Azir knockup, or Ashe arrow, or Fizz ult. If he hits his Q after a Shark, or like a Sona ult, it's really strong. Like that person is deader than dead. But if he misses Q and then Sona ults, it's just like, oh, that's kind of cute. So, just really work on his team fighting and stay relevant in CS is the answer to that question.
Questionable coming in 3.
Ooh, he baited it. Good bola.
Good job. He's learning. That's what I like to see.
I still think he wasted ult, but at least he baited it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Kog'Maw, no.
Wow. This is one of the issues I hate Flash and Nadir. If he had Bear, he could have Bear to carry there and they would have died. Him having Ghost, he just walks in like that.
Yeah.
The reasoning behind... I get the question a lot, too, because people watch Chick and they think TP is good on Udyr. The issue, you always take Flash on Udyr's Flash Bear stance.
Yep.
If you don't have Flash Bear, not only does it hurt your late game team fighting a ton, it hurts your early game quite a bit because you're losing like a pretty good ganking tool.
Yeah. You're also
Good Bola. He's getting it. If he used 5-point Q there, he didn't kill Fizz.
Yeah.
He died, but that was good.
Yeah.
So, both junglers has Sweeper. Jinx has... It's
on
okay.
Yellow War.
Yeah, she should probably get blue. She can also see that Kog'Maw has blue, and if your mid gets blue, pink isn't a bad buy here either.
Yeah.
I prefer to have pink on AD carry. You usually just have to buy blue because it's pretty important to have one on your team. But having blue on mid and pink on AD carry is not bad. Or warding totem. I think the pink upgrade's really undervalued though. The more and more I think about it and the more I play with it, the more I like it.
Yeah. That was like from the Champions League podcast. Sudonat was talking about how he was pink ward on support.
I'm not a big fan of that, but
I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think there are situations where it might be very useful.
it's one of those things where I have to respect sample size and I have to respect that Sudonat's a little better than me, but there are also like a lot of other Masters and Challengers support mains, and none of them do it, so I don't know. He's kind of like, I'm trying to think of a word for an outlier. I can't think of one. An outlier. The reason behind pink and why I like it though is these stealth wards recharge every 60 seconds, and the pink's only every 3 minutes. So you're getting 1/3 of the warding as a regular ward, the greater stealth totem. But you are getting a ward that you can use as a regular ward. You're getting a ward that you can use as a pink ward, and pink ward is also like a pseudo sweeper. So it's kind of like a warding totem and a sweeper and pink all in one, and you can kind of use it whenever you need it for something. But
alright, Rengar should be ulting right now.
the reasoning behind pink though is if you don't have pink for a team fight against Rengar, it's pretty bad. I guess Jinx isn't against Rengar, but yeah, Rengar just needs to like try and blow somebody up before his team gets rolled too hard there.
Yeah.
It's Rengar if you stall in team fights, you don't get combo off. You're not really ineffective. Sometimes, as a Rengar player, you just need to kamikaze too. It's better than not fighting.
I mean, if you're dying and then their marksman dies, then for lack of a better term, that's a better trade, because even if you guys do lose a team fight, they're down a marksman to push down anything. It's one of those situations where it's not ideal to be in. Mm-hmm. But that being said, if you're able to get a lot of damage off before you die, then your team can follow up and pull off something. You got a Jinx there, you've got Tahm Kench and Kog'Maw, so follow-up damage is there. Mm-hmm. You just got to make that. You got to make that choice, and you got to commit.
Yep. The biggest thing I would say is most Challenger and Master Rengar mains I know die a lot. I think they had like a thing on statistics for statistics for Challenger players. It's like Challenger players with the most average death per mains per game. It had like the top 5, and 3 of them were Rengar mains.
Yeah.
And it's not stupid deaths. I mean, they're still good players. They're not like randomly dying or getting caught out or blah blah blah. They're deaths where the Rengar player just yells Hadouken as loud as he can and like tries to one-shot a carry in a team fight, and that's their engage.
Gotta unleash the raging demon.
Mm-hmm. And Rengar mains also have a bad habit of trading kills. Sometimes I play with people and they freak out because I'm trading kills, and it's not something they see a lot, but trading kills on Rengar is kind of whatever as long as you can one-shot that person later in the game.
Yeah.
So, good rotation by blue. We'll take a minute to look at Vision. Vision's actually pretty good out of blue team here. A little defensive and really river-centric, but the game is pretty even, so river-centric isn't bad to have. Red team, Vision's pretty good as well. They have some deeper wards, and especially on the Dragon side. And Dragon's kind of what's being contested right now. So I prefer Red Team's Vision, and this kind of comes down to, although they have less wards, their wards are better. But both teams are doing a good job. Is this game 2 or game 3? This is game 2. And I'm sorry, but we're only doing 2 today due to the tournament Pineapple, because that is starting at 3 p.m. But we'll probably see you there.
4 p.m. Frown said 4.
4. Oh, he said 4
because
now?
on the sign-up sheet, it gives your time zone, not, like, Eastern Daylight Time zone.
Oh, he said 3 Eastern EDT, though.
Yeah, but because he's looking at it... I have the thing, too, because, like, when I'm looking at the sheet, it shows me my time zone when it goes off. Mm-hmm. So the event is scheduled for 4.
Okay, cool. 4 Eastern Time.
Yes.
Alright. Oh, rip. So when only my support is warding as an AD carry, should I do greater to stealth or upgrade to blue trinket and buy wards? You can do both.
Yep.
It depends. I would say if you're losing, you always need to have blue totem because you need to be able to check objectives. But if you're winning, it's a little more variable.
A couple wards isn't going to destroy your build and unfeed you, so to speak. Like, a couple greens and a pink is fine, especially if you're in a weird part where your build where you get BF Sword plus some stuff, but you don't necessarily know what. Yeah, wards are fine.
I'm not a big fan of greens on AD carries. You can buy them if your team needs vision, but a lot of times in AD carry you're trying to maximize your time mid-game to find farm and fight, and you're also not that safe to go ward. I do like pink wards on AD carries though. Because you're going to beat that objective, you can just pink it. You're going to be in a team fight, you can just pink it. Pink's a lot easier to use functionally as an AD carry for me. So, team fight. Rengar got in. He didn't finish Asher's ear, so kind of in a difficult position.
He jumped on his ear. His ear had Hourglass by now. Odir wasn't at the fight, and unfortunately they weren't able to convert any of those kills.
It's kind of comes down to what I was talking about too. As a Rengar main, you really need to end most games by 25 to 30 minutes, or the game needs to be mostly over by then and like actually ended by 30 to 35. You get in this position where they have 2 Hourglasses and a Frozen Heart on Cho'Gath. It's really difficult to do anything. And just really look for more of those ultimates mid, look for more of those ultimates bottom. It'll come with practice. So we're gonna look at skill, see if anything is standing out to me too much here. Yeah, it all looks good. I can't see Max's terribly well because that runs at 15, 16. So gold's still relatively even.
Yeah.
Blue team is starting to win fights pretty hard.
Yeah. This is there's something. 2-minute wardings pop. Dragon's gonna be up in 2 minutes. Now's the perfect time to kind of start resetting wards out, getting vision control started, especially as a support. Because if you try and start warding, let's say, can you Rengar do it?
Wow.
Yeah, he can. Good job. That way you get some wards out. And if they sweep it a minute before Dragon, that sweeper's not going to be up by Dragon, and then you can reward. As opposed to warding out a minute before they sweep it, and you have to base, which is something you don't want to do just before a big objective like that comes up. Oh, Tom, you're so durable.
It's actually a pretty good play if you get a pick like that to go just siege mid. By doing that, let's say if you get a pick and Dragon's coming up in 2 minutes, you get that pick. They likely didn't ward 3 minutes prior to Dragon. You siege for 2 minutes and then you just rotate out to Dragon. The odds of them having any wards there are so small because they couldn't get out and ward for that 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything about siege. But looking at item buys, the Udyr has 5 kills. Actually no, his build's okay. I don't mind Trinity that much since he's 5. But he has 3 lanes that do damage, so I may have just gone full tank this game. But win conditions for both teams. Blue team has a lot of AP damage. Red team has a finished locket now, which is good, and they're starting to get into their magic resist items. But Ashe is pretty far behind.
Yeah.
Jinx has 6 kills, so if I were red team, I would do my best to peel Jinx and just get good engage. Rengar and Udyr just play front line and hope that Kog'Maw and Jinx do their job.
Yeah, just Rengar jump in, do tons of damage, and hope Jinx has got the AoE follow-up.
Yep.
Oh, going too deep. Chasing into unwarded jungle. Guess what?
So this is kind of the same thing going on. Rengar's not there again.
Yeah,
And it's not important just to be there for Dragon. It's important to be there before Dragon in case something happens. And you actually have the choice to engage.
Yeah.
He tried to flash the Zero wall.
Oh no! Welcome to the pit of despair.
Rengar, you had 5-point Bola there. I would just use that on Azir. Even if you go for a flash, you should have 5-point Bola.
Yeah, you want to get to those objectives a little sooner, though.
Mm-hmm.
Use your Tiamat. Why are you not using Tiamat?
Your team did win that game, though.
Yeah.
I mean, win that fight. So that's good. Oh. Alright, so red team's about to get Dragon. That's a pretty good call.
That's a Baron.
Sweet Baron. Rip.
Yeah.
And 3 dragons that are blue. Alright.
Yeah.
Game's starting to get more interesting. Jinx finished BT. This is big.
Oh, yeah.
And Kog'Maw finished Sheriffs and Sorks. They need to ride this as hard as they can. How much gold did Rengar have? Alright, he just had enough for that. I was going to say, if he had enough for PD, he should buy PD and just leave Tiamat. Rengar, a lot of time, like, lifesteal is cool, but if you can do more damage, do more damage. But I do prefer Zeal, Hydra to not totally finishing PD. What happened when he tried to flash a Zero before he couldn't go for it? A Zero prevents flashes.
Oh, what had happened is how the soldiers were placed as well. They were kind of stacked in an odd manner. So unfortunately, he flashed the first soldier per se, but the one that was kind of strafed behind it unfortunately pushed him right back. Alright.
So Tom is a catalyst. This is something I want to point out. He's probably going towards glory right now. There's absolutely no reason for him to have glory. You are the peel for your team, and you also have Locket. I would just finish your face to the mountain and get in my Chaos for Jinx.
I gotta point out too, that Rengar ultimate, while he wasn't able to get the kill on Zero, forced out his ultimate, which was a big disengage cool.
Mm-hmm. Zero also doesn't have flash.
Yeah. Oh, he might be dead. Ooh, barrier.
No, Sona OP.
Yeah.
BBC feels weird without Frown Power skulking about. He'll see Frown Power this evening. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Alright, so Fizz got an Asher's Tooth in the jungle. I'm not really a huge fan of this. It's okay, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know, I guess. I mean, I think there's other items he could have bought.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think Viz really benefits too much from attack speed.
You'll see that blue team's going to start to suffer now from the greedy build out of Sona. They don't have the Mikhails. Mikhails is pretty effective against Udyr stun. It's pretty effective against Rengar Bola, although hard to use correctly against Rengar Bola. You could also argue that since Mikhails only has a couple of spells to be used on Locket, it would be really good. And Locket would be really good this game. Against AP Kog'Maw, Locket's one of the better items you can buy. It gives you the health regen, it gives you magic resist. Also pretty effective. A lot of spells in this game you don't think about that do magic damage. Udyr is Phoenix. Most of his damage is magic. And the Rengar W does magic damage. I'm sure Tom and Jinx have some weird spells that do magic damage. I don't know. You really need an Aegis item, TLDR. It's kind of on you as a support too. Like, in a support, you can say, oh, I thought someone else on my team was going to build it, or whatever. And in support, you need to hit, like, One, you can ask. Two, if you go into loading screen and you see Devour, Jungle, or Fizz or something, you can just safely assume you need to buy it.
Yeah.
So, how is Fizz doing? He's doing okay. I think he AFK farmed early game, and I would like to see him put more pressure on the map, but after early game, he's been pretty effective in team fights.
Yeah. Also, Jig's died too because she was shoving pretty deep, and the rest of the team was at base.
Fizz needs void stuff really badly, though. That's the third item he needed, not Asher's.
Yeah.
Fizz is pretty high base spells. That's kind of why we see him as a tank once in a while, or as an AD Fizz once in a while, because the base values on his spells are so high, and because of that, stuff like void stuff is really effective. And CDR boots. If you don't have CDR blues, getting 40% on jungle Fizz is pretty important as well. Once you get that 40%, his Sharka's on such a short cooldown, especially at level 16. But that's good. Really good by Fizz to smite Raptors there. Making sure this is cleared for the dragon fight is pretty important. So that's kind of one of the reasons you want Scrying Orb on Jinx. You were forced to face check there to get your wards down on your totem as opposed to using Scrying. But really need to be cognizant of the fact Dragon's up and lifesteal as well as you can. And if you're playing with an AD carry, once they hit BT, you really need to not kill the creep wave. That's one of the most infuriating things for me playing normals. Alright, so red team is sieging. So as Rengar, when you get into these siege scenarios, if you're confident your team can do okay. Alright, so he had 5 points there and he loaded a 5-point Q and then used E. He really needs to break his habit of doing that and just go for the 5-point E's. Especially when you're sieging. That's what Rengar does in Siege.
Yeah, think about how annoying Morgana bindings are, and Rengar doesn't affect have a root. You're able to use that to its most effective use. You can convert a lot of kills from them standing in one spot for a couple seconds.
You can flash a 0 if you get all the way over it. You didn't get over it the first time because you got on a soldier. So
yeah.
It's not like a wall, a regular wall. If you make it halfway through, you flash it. You actually have to have your cruiser and make it all the way through.
He might be in trouble.
Yeah.
Nope.
So Tom is finishing Glory. Still not a huge fan. I think having face on Jinx is really strong here.
Yeah.
Once you have face and BT on an AD carry, if they have summoners, they have to misplay pretty hard to die. Or Cog. Your Cog is important to protect as well. Oh, he's been on 2 items for a long time. Yeah, he's 1600. So, Baron is back up. Red team has Scuttle. See, what are the comps? They can't really bait, because if they bait and they run into a corridor against a Azir, Son, of Ashe, they die. But
yeah. I think they keep lane shoving and they try and find somebody who's overextended trying to shove a wave. Let Rengar try and pull off Rengar shenanigans.
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm playing Rengar in this situation, I would just pressure bot or top and get it shoving out. And then, rotate back and group with my team.
Yeah.
It is hard though because blue team has so much CC that it's really scary to leave your team alone.
Yeah.
So Udyr's Randuin's is good. Randuin's is the best item on Udyr.
Yeah, he got 1 damage item and just went tank after that.
Oh, he's got the ghost.
3-man stall right there. Once you get that third person shown, red team should find and engage. Because he did. You gotta make that worth.
You either have to fight or do dragon. Rip.
Oh.
Not dragon baron.
They might be beat.
That's pretty good by Tom.
Good job, Tom.
Jinx rocket. Oh, time cooldown. So Rengar, you're really like not respecting Azir and Hourglass as much this game. Your targets are Sona and Ashe, and you need to respect that at all times.
Yup.
When you play Rengar, you need to constantly be hitting tab, and when you see 2 armor item, Tab Eyes, Cho'Gath, or Hourglass Fizz, Hourglass Azir, it's you need to be looking for Sona and Ashe, and preferably Sona and Ashe when they're not near the. Well, I can't even talk Azir. I would almost get Q assist this game too. The Q assist gives you a little bit of magic resist and let you like max out your damage. Because like in all honesty, you can't ever go on Sona and Ashe because you can just get Sona ulted.
Yeah.
So we're just getting a recurve bow. I really don't like that. I think he really needs to maximize his tankiness. In this game, what do we have? We have Azir, Ashe, Sona, Fizz. I'd probably go Spirit Visage. Spirit. Spirit Visage really effective on Udyr. So Rengar had enough to finish Trinity, and he finished his Phantom Dancer instead. If you go Trinity Phantom Dancer, you get Trinity first. Hello, Academic Relic. So,
hello!
Azir is farming bot. So, Jinx is starting to approach full build. I don't know what her last item is. If it's building on Megatron, I assume it's Guardian Angel. I would say that if she's going GA, she really needs to be getting the... no, Megatron's good. I keep thinking she's Ashe. Ashe, I have no idea why you're buying a magic resist item. Alright, you sold it back, that's good. I don't like Vamp. I would buy Chain Vest and just get GA at this point. I don't think lifesteal's your issue in these fights. As long as you don't die, as long as you remove that last target from Rengar, you guys win this game.
Yeah, you either die in 2 seconds or you're gonna live through the team fight.
Or you live to see yourself do no damage.
Yeah.
Batman.
Good son ult.
That's good. RIP Hourglass. Ooh, I'm getting pings in TeamSpeak. That's not good. No drama, boys. After taking Baron, if the rest of my team doesn't recall, is it a bad time for me to recall if I'm full health? Try and do what your team is doing, or try and ping them what to do. Generally, it's better to do things as a group if possible.
Yeah.
But that being said, if they're just staying to farm a little bit, getting that fast recall off isn't bad either. But what I tell people in lessons is you either need to be a follower or a leader. You can't do nothing. So you need to like do what other people are doing in solo queue, or you need to make that call yourself. If you just like walk around farming and not listening to anyone's calls, but not making calls yourself, you're effectively like AFK. You need to be a sheep or a shepherd. That being said, if you think you are a shepherd and people don't listen to you, sometimes you need to know when to be a sheep. Otherwise, people will freak out and start screaming. It's a balance. Yeah, this Glory and Tom Kench really isn't doing much.
Yeah.
He finally has face now, but no. You think I should have went GA on Rengar? I would have gone QSS just so you could cleanse Sunul. I think in these fights, if you can instantly cleanse Sunul, you would have killed people pretty easily.
Yeah.
I have to do that in Master Yi and Rengar sometimes. I just have to get QSS because as long as I can cleanse that CC instantly, I I just do a lot of damage. Last thing or fifth thing, I would just go to like fifth. I think QSS is so cheap, and it gives you a little magic resist too. That's a pretty good item. You don't have to get QSS too. I think the biggest issue is not paying attention to targets in team fight and just looking at what is attractive as far as health is concerned, as opposed to paying attention to what is attractive, like, I don't know, as far as positioning and like what the correct target is. Like paying attention to Zonias and Azir ultimate and Sona ultimate and stuff like that. I mean, playing target selection on late game Rengar is kind of what separates decent Rengars from good Rengars. And mid game pressure. But in all honesty, once the game starts to hit like 30, 35, 40, 45 minutes, Rengar becomes more and more difficult to play. If this Ashe wasn't as behind as she was and she went GA, you'd be completely out of this game.
Yeah.
I expect blue team to win soon though. Red team doesn't look like they have a very good contest. Why I'm saying this is Rengar just lost his ult there and Tom's really not positioned well.
Yeah.
They don't, without Rengar they don't have any tools to engage, and Jinx is dead.
Yeah. That's another. Yeah.
Does QSS take the stun out when you're stunned, or you have to act before? As soon as you're stunned, you can just press it and clear the stun.
Yeah.
So if you jump in and you get Sona ulted, let's say you get your 5-point E off and you Sona ult, if you press it instantly, you just go back to auto attacking like normal.
Yep.
Pretty strong. You don't have to get it every game. I don't think you had to get it this game, but it could have been helpful. I think just like paying attention to ult cooldowns and hourglasses is the biggest thing you need to do in this game. And who was near CC? Like, this is a pretty good example. When I'm playing Fiddlesticks, I really have to pay attention to the 1 second stream will be black. Alright, sorry, I had to reply to somebody who was going to play Game 3. And I'm sorry for anyone who did want to play Game 3, but we do have the tournament today, so. Statistics. No pink wards out of the losing team for the most part. I mean, they had 5, but that's not great. The winning team, once again, had more wards, so that will put the record at 2-0. Other statistics. Stealth wards purchased, none by Cho'Gath, not good. And Rengar, not good. That means you didn't buy any greens before your warding totem at level 9, which is the earliest you can upgrade it. I keep saying that, but please, this column should never not have a 1 in it. Or it usually shouldn't. Anything else to that? To me, Tom only had 29 wards placed in a 50-minute game. That, to me, says you're forgetting to use Sightstone. And Sona to some extent as well, only 36. So, remember to use Sightstone active. But
yeah.
Gonna run down each person. Let's see. What do we think about Sona? You can get into this.
All right. Okay. So that your build's pretty glass cannon heavy and very, to a large degree, I think selfish on a lot of levels. Ardent Sensor. I feel like with these items like Lichbane, Ardent Sensor, and Zeke's, you're looking to do damages, and that's all fine and dandy. But items like Frozen Heart coming to mind. Like other support items would be really good here. Mikhail's would have been good. I don't know. Your team won the game. I think part of that was because there became a point where Rengar could not find a very strong engage, and aside from that, red team didn't have any sort of assist on that engage. Like Udyr unfortunately had Ghost, he can't flash over his ear wall. Kog'Maw, unfortunately for a lot part of the game, was DC'd and didn't have the impactful damage. Tahm Kench is Tahm Kench. If he's not ahead and he's not winning games, then you can't just walk up and grab somebody. Tahm Kench is just a big peel bot for Jinx, and Jinx was the only person that was, for lack of a better term, doing well for red team. And unfortunately, like, they weren't able to punish your build very much. Like, Lich Bane, not a strong item on Sona, even with the amount of AP you've stacked so far. You could have put that in other things and done a much better job with those items. Like, you could have built a Banner of Command, gotten 60 AP, and did something else with that as opposed to, building the Lich Bane.
Yep. Other things I would say, build remembering to use Sightstone. And I don't know about exhaust. I guess you occasionally have exhaust targets in team fights, so that's not too bad. But I would say that's about it. I didn't see any other glaring issues. Like, in all honesty, if you really want to do damage and you want to build an AP out of Morello's is considerably better than Lich Bane. Not being CDR capped on a support is pretty bad. And you may have reached that with CDR boots, but you really want to reach CDR cap with boots and mobility. So, Azir, I don't mind the Rylai's in this build. I still think you should have got it too early. Being in a 50-minute game and not having Void Staff is kind of weird to me as well. 280 is quite a bit CS, and you did quite a bit better than last game, though. So that's good. As far as team fights go, I mean, your walls basically won the game. So I didn't see a lot of huge issues in these team fights. But continuing to work on CS, the better you get, the better you will do. I'm sure you enjoyed having more items this game. And maybe get Rylai's a little later. But other than that, you played well. Fizz, don't like the Natchez this early in the build. Other than that, you did well. I think maybe try and find some ganks in the early game. If you see yourself running into issues on health with a jungler, remember that Scuttle Crab usually regenerates some health because you're getting the health from Scuttle Crab and your base health regen is kicking in. And like, you're not taking damage during the time. Most of the time I take Scuttle Crab, I see my health go 10 or 20% afterwards. So, also remember smiting red buff helps quite a bit, and knowing how to do the small camps, whether you kill the small ones or not. But generally on Fizz, with someone with AoE, it's better to just drop, kill the small ones, than finish the big ones, so you're taking minimal damage. Ashe, really, I can't talk. You kind of fell behind on farm. Same thing for Azir, better on CS, but you still need to work on CS. In team fights, you just really need to pay attention to positioning. Get a good ult out. Try and get focus stacks. And you can't stack as hard as you could before because you don't get the multiple targets off W. But just like play safely until you have a charged Q. Just launch Ws and autos when you can. And then when you have a point in time where you can just like destroy a target with Q, you go for it. But I don't know. I think it's mostly just positioning errors and farming. But that is a lot of 80 carry at this elo. Cho'Gath. Okay, so landing phase. Starting Sapphire Crystal. If you want to listen to why that's a bad item, you can go watch the beginning of the replay. I'm not going to take another 2 minutes to explain it again. But generally, you don't want to be starting Sapphire Crystal. Your options are Flask, Doran's Ring, or Doran's Shield. Doran's Shield specifically, not every matchup, but it's pretty good in the Rengar matchup. It reduces all his damage besides his W. Early game, you need to start E at level 1 against Rengar. The rest of your spells don't really do anything. You don't want to use Q on Rengar in a bush, because if you Q Rengar in a bush and he jumps out, you're out a spell in a trade. And you want to be able to Q on top of yourself if you run into trouble against Rengar, or Q where he jumps to if you're really good at telegraphing it. But Qing him in a bush, generally he can just react to it and it's not going to do a lot. Put some early points in your E and get tanky, not trade him. I think a really good build this game would have been Doran's Shield, Doran's Ring, Frozen Heart, or 2 Doran's Rings into Frozen Heart. If you get Frozen Heart, you can just like style on Rengar and there's nothing he can do. So, think about that. Other than that, you played well. I didn't see you TP at all this game though, and that's kind of concerning for me. Same thing as Lissandra last game, because this Rengar beat both people really badly in these games. If you're losing lane, TPs are a good way to come back, especially if you have as much CC as someone as Cho'Gath. But you did a good job bringing yourself back into the game and staying relevant on farm. Sona, we covered that for the most part. Udyr, you really want to take Flash in Udyr. If you don't have Flash Spare, your early game's hard. As Udyr, you need to be warding out the other person's jungle if you play in their jungle. And you should be either playing in their jungle or ganking. So look to do one of those things, either play in their jungle or gank. If your lanes are pushed, you play in their jungle. If your lanes are being pushed against, you gank. Not too overly complicated. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it, but that's like the simplest way to explain it. As far as build is concerned, I may have not gotten Trinity this game because you had 3 damage threats in your lanes, but Trinity wasn't bad. The Wits late game, I'm not a huge fan of. I think CDR is pretty important on Udyr, and Spirit Visage gives Udyr a lot of stats that he likes. And the pass is useful on Udyr too, so that's not being wasted. Kog'Maw, I think you DC'd a lot. You had like 20 CS at 9 minutes too. I assume that when someone has 20 CS at 9 minutes and they're DC a lot, that 20 CS is because of lag. So, really hard to gauge your gameplay when you're this far behind an item cell game. But, like, I saw you buying wards early and doing the right things. I just generally think you were lagging. If you weren't lagging, let me know. But I feel bad critiquing somebody's game when I think that they're lagging really hard.
Yeah.
Rengar. Same thing for last game. You did better, but you really need to look for roams. Working on target selection. Working on target selection in teamfight is the biggest thing you need to do. You need to hit tab before every teamfight. On Rengar, when you're going to ult in, you need to be looking for hourglasses. You need to be looking for armor items, and you need to be determining like how much damage you can do to somebody. You need to think about threats in a teamfight. So Azir. Threats to stop you from killing somebody. So Azir wall is a threat, and Sona is a threat. You really need to like be playing around those. You either need to wait for Azir or Sona ult, or go on a target that can't be Azir or Sona ulted quickly enough. So those are kind of the things you want to be thinking about for target selection on Rengar. Whether you can actually kill the target or not, or whether there's a threat to CC. Yeah, but. Early mid game wasn't bad, and also if you're not gonna group and kill, you need to be pressuring the game, all game. So if you can't roam and kill somebody, you need to be pushing your lane and pressure. So you just push top, get a lot of farm, pressure, and then ult and kill, and then farm and pressure, ult and kill, farm and pressure, ult and kill. You really like. I'm not sure if you're a basketball fan, but playing Rengar is like full court press. You always want to have pressure on the map because you want to be trying to end the game as quickly as you can. Jinx, positioning in teamfights is a big one, and not having blue or kind of screwed you. I know Cog got it, and I actually recommended getting warding or pank, but a couple of times you guys lost fights because you went to ward something and you guys just didn't have the vision to do it, and you kind of like face checked and got attacked. So I might work on that. In lane though, I don't know, nothing stood out to me as like bad by Jinx. Alright, so comment, I want Zeke's instead of Ardens. You're saying Mikhails, but they didn't have CC on the other team instead of Bola. Jinx, Chomper is CC. The Kog'Maw slow is CC. Udyr stun is CC. I don't know if I would have bought Mikhails or not this game, but the biggest thing is your team didn't have a locket. And we're going to look at the magic damage for the other team here. So you can say they don't have a lot of magic damage or whatever. They had 36, 44, 50, about 50k magic damage that game, and they had about 51k physical. So they're about 50-50 magic and physical. And your team didn't have a locket or a banner. You could have even built banner. So that's kind of like the selfish thing that really stood out to me is you're playing a team that did half magic damage and you never bought a locket or a Mikhails. And it's not just the magic resist. When you're playing against Kog'Maw poke and stuff like that, having the mana regen is pretty important as well. I mean, the health regen.
Yeah, if Kog'Maw were a factor in this game, if he wasn't lagging as bad as he was, you guys would have been punished so hard for not having any sort of aura of magic resistance. He would have just been shredding you guys. This is where Kog'Maw that had a fully stacked tier, had some levels, and had Lune's procs popping on your guys' shoulders all day. You would not have been able to withstand those sieges. Because now you're looking at Kog'Maw trying to dodge Kog'Maw. All of a sudden there's a Rengar there. Oh no, that 5-point Bola just hit. And now our ADC's dead and his ear's dead. Oh, what are we gonna do? So, it's what we're saying is like I understand. Like, we understand you want to do damage, but there are better paths to doing damage. Like, if you had traded that Lich Bane for an Aegis, I don't think you would have lost that much damage. And if that went to a banner, I think you wouldn't have seen that much of a dip in certain terms of your power spike. And there's other things you could do too, build-wise, to kind of keep you propped up as well. Because unfortunately, you ran into situations where you're getting hit pretty hard, and you don't have a lot of health in your build. In fact, I don't think you have any health in your build, other than Sightstone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The block it and banner, just Aegisaur is really, really important. But we are only doing 2 games today, so if anybody's in chat waiting for game 3, I'm incredibly sorry. But there's a good reason for that. We're not just only doing 2 because we're lazy. We have the T-Force Network battle beatdown on the bridge tournament. If you want to check it out, I'm going to put the link to Reddit/T-Force Network in chat. You can sign up there. Just click it, head over. This is a link to the actual thing. It looks like this.
Yeah.
The event homepage, you can watch the stream. I'll probably be streaming it from my point of view at some point. It'll either be on this channel or it'll be on twitch.tv/JarenJones3K. So check out, it'll be on one of those 2 channels. But it'll be at 4 p.m. Eastern time, so we'll see you guys in about an hour and a half.
Hey.
Alright. Thank you. Remember to sign up for next week when the sheet is cleared in an hour or 2. And remember to check out the VODs on YouTube. And have a great day.